Hello and welcome to Fish Fingers and Custard, Explosion Network's Doctor Who After Show, where we break down and discuss each and every episode of the show. My name's Dylan Blight. Joining me, Ashley Hopley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about stories. And the power of stories.
We do that every week, I think, in some regard.
Really get into power stories.
Really get into the power stories.
And revenge.
Yeah. This week's episode, The Story and the Engine. Synopsis. In Lagos, a mysterious figure called the Barber rules. The Doctor finds stories. Sorry, what? The Doctor finds stories hold real power as he confronts the spider weaving a vengeful web. What a tongue twister. Directed by Makalla, McPherson, written by Inua, Ellams. Ash, what did you think of this week's episode?
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting episode, very different to aesthetically anything else we've kind of seen, and once again kind of diving into the themes of gods being real and being entities that the Doctor has interacted with a lot in the past. Adding this new layer of these webs and diving into stories and diving into a little bit more of the Doctor's past. And kind of like for the first time addressing the fact that the Doctor's getting used to being this complexion for the first time, and how he's been able to cope for this period in which his Ncuti's been playing the Doctor. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. And once again, Ncuti like bringing an entire production to Nigeria for something like he did in Sex Education, an episode. I thought it was amusing. So
yeah, I thought it was a really interesting episode that made me want to like how sort of go, how did we get here? And by that I mean like who wrote the director? Like I was just wondering like how we end up. So I looked up the Inua Ellams is a playwright first and foremost.
Yes.
Interestingly, has an entire show that's set across 6 barbershops. So
okay, so like not.
It is titled
stretching themselves.
It is titled Barbershop Chronicles.
Mm.
There you go. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I was like, how do we end up with it's a very black story, right? I mean, like as far as what we're doing. So I was like, I hope this wasn't written by someone
by Russell T. Davies.
Yeah, that explains so much more. But I think, there's lots of really. I'd be interested to read what other people. Well, I feel like there's just so much my white body can go into this,
Mm-hmm.
But I think just the perspective, obviously, as the barbershop being a gathering safe spot for black communities. That's something I understand because I've seen all of the barbershop films, which sounds like a joke, but is actually sort of what those movies are about. So I get that, and then I think showing Ncuti's Doctor like sort of he's a Doctor who, for the most part, is like a very happy-going Doctor, and have wanted that, I guess, off the back of the more like sad boy doctors. But obviously, he's, I think, also a Doctor that doesn't like to be alone. Hence, he's like rushed to get companionship and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then it's also sort of like you're now doing that with the Doctor who's like, I can't go to certain time periods and places anymore because my complexity sort of stuffs it up. So then I think it's interesting, instead of turning back into sad boy Doctor and just hiding in the TARDIS and being sad about that, he like reading between the lines of this episode, it's like, I've gone out and found this barbershop where I like to visit these people here, and like that. Like he seeks out community, I guess, is the interesting part for it. Just jumping ahead a little bit, because although he says this skin or whatever, technically not the first black Doctor. That does go to the fugitive Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who we have a split second cameo from Joe
Yes.
Martin again in this episode. Do you reckon that is? I'm of two minds of it. You've got that's just to keep around because Russell T Davies is planning to do something more significant with that story, or B, because it's a story where nearly every character in this is black, written by a black playwright. They wanted to make sure just to include her as well for the significance.
I think there's a little bit of column A, a bit of column B. And I also think it plays into the conclusion of the episode of like the Doctor telling, like they're doing the classic, here's all these screens with all the different incarnations of the Doctor. Like reminding you that this is a person who's had many lives, many faces. So, I think it played into that a little bit as well. But yeah, obviously them both being black performers, probably is why she was there in person. But I also believe that, Russell T Davies, well, I don't know if I believe it with all my heart, but I feel like there is potential there that he'll explore some of the ideas introduced in the last run that weren't like followed through on, which is completely like that version of the Doctor working for the Division with the Time Lords. So
yeah, do we? I thought I'm also slightly confused and maybe wasn't paying enough attention in recent seasons. Which who was? I didn't know. I can like the Doctor can remember the fugitive Doctor stuff now. Like that's.
I guess so.
Yeah, that was my other confusing part because although at first Shooty's like, I know you from somewhere, but then it's like clicks because it's from his past. But I thought they couldn't remember that version of the Doctor, but
yeah, it's like bits and pieces
as it comes back to get back to him. I don't know. Yeah, I'd say also just because you brought it up, I love only because so far they haven't burnt it out and they don't do it super often. But I love when a story beat and they get to do let's show all these different memories from the Doctor sort of stuff. When they do that right, it's pretty cool. And I feel like this episode did it quite well.
Which is cool because I don't think they've done it in this run from memory.
No, I think so. No, I don't think so. But yeah, it's always pretty cool when they do it right. So
yeah.
All right, so basically the episode starts again. It's trying to get home, trying to get back to Earth. It's the never-ending story of trying to get Belinda home. So Doctor's like, I've got this idea. Let's land in Lagos, Nigeria, for reasons I can't remember. Something about
they've got really good
strong something there,
strong signals or whatever.
Strong signal.
He's done something there.
It's a reason to get us here. He says, I know someone here. I'll just go, stop by this barbershop and speaks about the stuff we sort of just spoke about. Hints at the finding community and friendship there and stuff like that. Leaves Belinda in the TARDIS. Again, continues to be a very interesting companion to me just because obviously she just wants to get home still, right?
Yeah.
To the point that she's like, fine, go talk to your friends and whatever. I'll wait here. This isn't a companion who's like, I want to get home, but also since I'm here, I'll come with you. It's like, I'll stay. I'm good. Yeah, which is interesting.
But also, she knows it's a personal thing.
Trip, yeah. But there's a lot of companions who would go, I understand it's a personal thing, and I'm coming. I don't want to miss a thing. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's interesting, and yeah, continue just to find her companion quite interesting. So Doctor walks through. It's very interesting walking through the streets and stuff, and he's saying hi to people and whatever else. And I think that's very cool. Again, just feeling like he's really likes this part of the world in his current skin. Starts heading towards where the barbershop is. Sees a bunch of signs that say "Keep out, don't stop here." Don't know who put those up. Who put those up?
I don't know that sign, but all the missing posters I assume is from people.
Well, the missing posters, the friends and family or whatever else.
It could be her, Spider Lady.
You reckon? Why would she do it though?
Because she didn't want more people to come accidentally into the barbershop, I guess. you know, when he's promised he'll deliver the doctor. You know, you don't need other random people accidentally going into the barbershop.
True, I guess.
Mhm.
So he ignores him, of course, heads to the barbershop, gets in. And then basically what we have inside is the person, the barber, hold on, two. There's his barber, the guy he knows. There's the guy who's cutting someone's hair. And then we have 3 other people. Yeah. And so basically the way it works, as we were introduced in the prologue before the credits kicked in, is the ship that they're on is running off people's, it's powered by stories. And to get the stories, you sit down in the barber seat, and the bad barber, we'll call him, I guess. The bad barber runs, does your hair, runs the clippers through as you tell a story. And the prologue was the barber the doctor knows, the good barber, I guess, telling the story of the doctor and how one day he came down and saved him and other people. There was a fire and he helped put out the fire and stuff like that. And as he's telling the story, we see on the, like where the window would be, I guess, this tapestry come to life, very different sorts of mural visuals and stuff explaining the story as it's happening. Very cool. Again, another very cool sort of this episode did feel like, and I know Doctor Who of the last, since Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, sometimes I feel like it tries to do new things. It's like one step forward, 2 steps back sort of thing. This episode did feel like that, very sort of the sort of episode that makes you feel like there's still plenty of new things that can be explored and tried within Doctor Who. Whether you think this episode's like fine to good to whatever, but like, you know, there's a lot of new ideas on show in here within the Doctor Who universe, I think. So it gets in there, meet the crew. The hair, once you get your hair cut, it just magically grows back because you need to be able to keep telling stories.
You need to be able to cut again.
To cut it and do this sort of stuff. They have a bit of backwards and forwards. The doctor ends up sitting down in the chair. He tells a story of Belinda Chandra, and his story is about how she, this patient was, can't remember what
pretty much she was being misdiagnosed by one of the doctors. She pointed out. But then she was left with all the work to actually take care of this woman until she left.
Yeah. And she stays by her side and does it. And then the doctors basically claim they saved her anyway. And then she meets up to the woman. And she's like, "Oh, no, it was you. Thank you so much for what you've done for me." And she gives her flowers. And it's a very sweet story that, you know, this type of story the doctor would love. Such a simple one about human companionship, I guess. This is the type of story that the doctor would like. So power the ship. But then we meet the woman who comes in, mysteriously is able to walk into the building, comes and goes. So you've basically got, now you've got 2 people in the room. You got the barber, you got this other woman, and then the 4 of people and the doctor. And now at some point Belinda shows up as well. This episode, again, when I tell you it was like written by a playwright, it's all nearly in one room. Is the a lot of it. So that sort of helps that make sense as well. Now, when Belinda is walking through the streets to get to find the barbershop, she spots a little kid who is only again mentioned at the end of the episode, when she's like asking the doctor if he saw this person and he said he didn't, and all that sort of stuff. Now, I had to Google to find the answer to this, because I was like, what the fuck was that supposed to be about? But what did you think? Who do you think that was?
I thought it was just a little kid. That could also potentially be something explored further down the road. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so what if I told you, as per the...
Please don't tell me that was Mrs. Flood, and I just completely didn't recognize.
That was not Mrs. Flood. You're safe. It is credited as credited as a character from a previous episode. Now, where have we seen Ncuti's run children before prominently?
Oh, the trolls?
No,
No. Space babies?
correct. That is a space baby child.
So the space
Why?
babies came to Earth, and that's why Lagos, Nigeria has got these excellent communications.
I don't know. I'm going to say this is I was less confused before I found out it was a space baby. But there is no way that's not planted there to come back later, right? Because that's such a
Surely not.
That's such a random thing to have there.
So the space babies caused the destruction of planet Earth, is what you're saying?
I don't know. But then I also saw someone point out that apparently this episode released exactly the same time that it did, the Space Babies did, or something. Like, yeah. But yeah, it was a Space Baby. How or why the Space Babies would come back to be important to this current run of the storylines, I have no idea. I thought that was like just a self-contained episode, but
okay.
Yep. Are you more confused now?
I mean, I don't know if I'm more confused. It's just like the story potential is very vast now. I guess it's slightly less smaller than it could have been. You know what I mean? We have to assume space babies are involved in the conclusion of the season based on this tiny cameo.
It wasn't Eric.
Baby cameo.
It was the actor is Sienna Robin Mavanga Phipps, who plays the character Poppy.
Poppy was one of the babies.
Yep. Season 1, Episode 1, Space Babies. Now, they're officially credited on IMDb, as I'm checking now, for 2 episodes. Yep. Captain Poppy. It's so random. I just don't know how space
They're from the future. It's like
I just don't.
Okay.
Yep. And it is part of the story leaking thing, but he didn't tell the story of the space babies. You know? So I don't know. Anyway, that's a tale for another day, as the fugitive doctor would say, I guess.
A couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, we got one more episode and then we're into the finale, I guess, or the two parts, presumably part of the same story. So, yeah. So, Space Baby aside, Belinda enters the room with everyone above. Now, we basically at this point, there's a lot of character backwards. That doesn't mean there's a lot of talking in this episode and stuff on the same room. But once Belinda gets there, we start breaking down, finding out who the bad Barber is, and this other woman that the doctor recognizes but can't quite put his finger on it at this point. So the Barber attempts to say that he's a god at first, saying he's been called many names, and I've been called, I don't know, who's he saying? Does he say he's a Nasi? Was it?
Nasi
Loki.
And Loki and Dionysus. Yeah, lots of different story gods throughout mythology.
All these different gods, which then the doctor starts laughing at because he says he knows all these people and starts talking about all these stories he's had with them and stuff like that, which then ties in because apparently the woman is the daughter?
Abby, yeah, is the daughter of Anasi.
Yeah. And at this point, this show turned into American Gods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's daughter, and apparently the fugitive doctor had an interaction with this person. There's a story there, and didn't save them from a particular situation or something like that. We didn't get all the details because that's relevant or the story for another time. But yeah, so that's why she's pissed, and she's teamed up with this dude who basically the bad Barber is a human who helped make a, what was it? He helped
he created the Nexus.
which is like a way to gather all the
stories of the world.
Stories in one into one place. Yeah. So he starts grabbing that, and basically he's just on a revenge mission to.
Because the gods cast him out.
Yeah, they said they don't need it. They basically took his work and said they don't need him anymore. But thanks for your help, mate, and chuffed him on his way. Mm-hmm. So he reveals that his big plot is they're currently on the World Wide Web, literal, which was a funny bit.
Which is the thing that he named it until the humans named something much uglier.
Much uglier. Yeah, good bit. So yeah, they're on this like spider ship thing that's crawling its way up the World Wide Web, which is a web that goes across the universe.
Yes, someplace.
Something. And he basically wants to blow up all the.
He wants to kill the gods.
He wants to kill the gods and stop all the stuff. Now, the Doctor says this is bad because it would cease the gods as well as. I don't know if he says it would kill humans because I think that's a bit far, but it would definitely like highly disrupt their lives because it's so like stories are so integral part of human life. So he doesn't want that to happen. But then also the woman, the daughter of Anasi, doesn't realize that's the whole plan, and she didn't realize at that point. So then she does a story about slaves learning to braid one another's hair to put secret maps into them to lead you out of fields, traps, areas, and whatnot. And she does it subtly in a way that makes sense because she is telling a story and it does power the ship still. But at the same time, she braids the Doctor's hair. And then they run through it. It turns out that what she's actually braided is actually a path through the maze-like structure that's between the room they're in and the main room with the dream sphere thing or whatever you just said in it.
Yeah.
Which when they get there shortly before
story engine,
yeah. The Doctor hooks himself up into, which is where we get the scene we was talking about before, where it's now all powered by him, and more or less does a game of chicken with the bad barber, where it's either he's going to blow it all up with everyone there and save everyone else, or he stops it, more or less. And of course, he stops it, and they all manage to run out of the
but he doesn't stop it. It's like, are you going to release everybody, or we all going to die here?
Yeah, that's what I mean. He plays like game of chicken, I guess.
Yeah.
But they managed it all escape. Then there's some pleasantries outside. To be honest, I mean, that's about it. I think. Any other little tidbits from the story? Because I think I think thematically there's some obviously interesting stuff here, which sort of touched on primarily at the start of the discussion here. And I think that's like the majority of it is I do think it's exploring this. It's using the Doctor's particular skin color to do a story that isn't, because they've done the most stereotypical thing but it's like if you do the Doctor's black, so that means let's do stories where he goes to like the 50s and gets put through segregation. It's like then you're only doing stories about black. Really, you're just doing stories
about white people.
Well, yeah, it's like white. It's doing stories about white power.
Yeah,
and black oppression, but it's like you're being very negative about the black experience, I guess. So I think this story is meant to be a more positive one.
Yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity to explore parts of history and storytelling that you haven't been able to explore in the 50 plus, 60 plus years of Doctor Who.
Yeah, Doctor. Yeah. So for that, I think it's yeah.
Yeah,
it's good. I mean, I think it's
yeah.
You could not do this story of any other Doctor. It just wouldn't.
But yeah, I don't know. Like again, like have we seen the Doctor interacting with gods, or like are we just accepting now that all the mythological gods are real? And
I mean, every time they talk about gods in Doctor Who, it's always been like the gods are just aliens.
I guess. Well, we did have Anubis at the end of us.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, that's the general rule. Doctor Who, it's like gods, aliens. If humans believe there's a god, the god is just an alien. And the Doctor proves that. But in these last couple seasons, it's getting weirder because obviously now we're having these other sets of gods, but they're actually gods. So I don't know.
Yeah. Fourth dimensional gods, yeah.
Yeah, fourth dimensional gods are real apparently, but other gods, I don't know. It gets confusing. There's so much gods stuff happening. Like, it's very... RTD's gone down a path. Super hardcore into the god stuff.
Yeah. So, lots of forgiveness at the end as well. You know, the evil Barber is given a second chance, not only by the actual Barber, but the Doctor. You know,
the Doctor forgives the good Barber.
Yeah, then Abby gets to go out into the world, being free, I guess, for the first time.
Linda makes friends with God.
Yeah, gives life advice to a god.
Life advice to a god, yeah.
Hurt people. It's true.
It's true. There you go. Anything else?
No. I think that's everything about this episode. Other than no Mrs. Flood this week. That I can remember or recall.
No, you're 100% wrong. There was Mrs. Flood. She is seen... She is seen in the scene where Belinda is walking through the hospital corridor towards the lady who gives her the flowers.
That doesn't count.
Mrs. Flood
in the past.
walks past her and says, "Hey, Belinda," and she goes, "Hey, Mrs. Flood," or some shit like that. Yep. So you're definitely wrong, but yep.
Okay. Clearly missed that.
Yep. Oh dear. All right, thank you for joining us this week on Fishing as a Custard. If you would like to make fun of Ash in the YouTube comment section, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
Join the queue. Join us next week as we discuss an episode about the opera or a singing competition or something.
It is
like that.
Eurovision
Eurovision
Intergalactic Vision.
There you go. Looking forward to that. And then the last two episodes I would expect is finale part 1, part 2, basically. So exciting to see how it all starts to come together in the coming weeks. Let us know your thoughts on the episode on Blue Sky at explosionnetwork.com. You can check out that website, explosionnetwork.com, for all our podcasts and fun stuff over there. And you can find the rest of our socials as well. Until then, have a great time. Look after yourself.